Okay, it is 6:30, so we are going to reconvene our meeting. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any students that want to start us? Do you want to stand and join us in reciting? Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with Focus on the Students. Mr. Lichty from Westside is going to show us Panther Pride.
Well, thank you for inviting us to the Spotlight on Students. I am Tracy Lichty. I'm the principal at Westside Elementary, and I brought with us what was to be a group of 20, but because of spring break, we're down to 3. But these ladies, I appreciated them showing up, so this is amazing. I appreciate it. They did a good job. They're a little nervous, so we'll keep them nice and comfortable here. But we are going to focus on our group, a group that we have at Westside Elementary called the Panther Pride Leaders. And this is a very exclusive group that you have to have a pretty good ticket to be able to get into. How can a 4th grade student at Westside Elementary be a Panther Pride leader?
I had to fill out a Google form, and my parents filled out a permission form.
That's it? That's all you had to do? Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty simple thing to do to be part of our Panther Pride group. And then what did you get in because you are part of our group?
We got a free Panther Pride t-shirt.
So pretty exclusive group in our school, plus they get a little swag to go with it, which is pretty awesome. So basically there's a reason behind having this group. There was a purpose for this group early on when our guidance counselor, Jill Holcomb, started this group. Basically they would perform random acts of kindness in our school, as well as they would perform at our assemblies. They would do role plays, kind of some positive social behaviors that we wanted students to perform or have. And so they would do that. And it's kind of evolved as of lately. What we currently do is that they still help with positive behavior reinforcement, but we call them bucket fillers. That's what we do exclusively at our school. And they also present to students in our school, bucket filler, what it is, kind of tell them about what that is. As 4th graders, they've been a part of it for several years, so they can share that information with younger kids. And then they also present and reinforce what our next month behavior expectation is, because we also have some behavior expectations that we have building-wide. And so they also help us with that. So they do a pretty big service to our school as peers. Pretty awesome. So what is a bucket filler, if you're unfamiliar with that? We use this story called Have You Filled Your Bucket Today by Carol McLeod. And the students will read this story to some of their classmates, which you can kind of see some of the pictures of them reading to their classmates. They've even read to some of the adults in the building, including me. They've come and read to me. So they share what this is. And what they're going to do right now is they're going to read to our school board members the story, Have You Filled Your Bucket Today? And so I'll have them, what was going to be, once again, a throng of 20 has dwindled down to 3. So I don't know how we'll pair up with them without making them feel too nervous, but certainly we'll have them come over and read. And if you want to pair up board members and other staff, you certainly can. Good job, ladies, for reading those. I did have a parent ask to borrow the book real quick and look through it. Anybody else want to look through them while we're talking? Sure, welcome to do that. So why do we do this? Well, what we basically, moving on to, I think where are we at here? Tayden? Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, I need the microphone, don't you?
Our teachers and other adults hand out bucket filler slips to students who fill the buckets of those around them. Those slips are delivered to the office to put in a bucket. One slip for each grade is drawn each morning, and students go to the office to select a prize.
Okay. Oops.
Some of behaviors that will help students earn a bucket filler slip: listening, sharing, listening, being kind, smiling, taking turns, helping, being polite, complimenting, and including others.
Yep, so all these things go with this story. Obviously, that helps us to have reinforcement of behaviors we want to see in a very positive way. And I think we constantly have students coming down to get prizes from our office, from doing good things. We also have, as I mentioned, some behavior expectations that we use with students. These are kind of reinforcements of some behaviors. We actually have some designed behavior expectations building-wide.
In addition to helping with bucket fillers, the Panther Pride group helps to present and reinforce the Westside behavior expectations. We produce and star in videos that are based on one of the Westside behavior expectation topics. Those videos are shown at our monthly assemblies.
I know we're kind of running a little short on time, so I don't want to get too crazy here, but this would be an example of paper that we use in our school just for playground, for instance. And like for the month of March, we focused on playground, and we focus on 3 areas of being respectful, being responsible, and being safe. And these are all the expectations that we talk about in those areas for our students at our building. And we have a video of the students providing those techniques.
At the playground, be respectful, listen, include other, take turns, play fair, use kind words and actions.
At the playground, be responsible, dress for the weather, follow directions, ask to go inside, return equipment you use, and line up quickly when the whistle blows.
Be safe, use equipment appropriately, leave nature where it belongs, keep hands, feet, and all other objects to yourself.
Sit at the table. Sit down when sliding. This area is only to be used by those who need it with staff permission. Always include others.
Hey guys, can I play with you?
Yeah, sure, come on.
Hey, can we have a turn? Sure. Yeah, sure.
Take turns on the equipment.
Won't show the whole thing, but you get the idea. Pretty inclusive. Very, very nice job by all of our Panther Pride students to kind of go through all those behaviors. Let's see here, where are we at here?
Each classroom teacher will select a bucket filler of the month. Those students are selected for following that month's Westside Way behavior expectations. The behavior expectations focus on different areas of school life, such as the classroom, hallway, cafeteria, assemblies, arrival and dismissal, restroom, playground, and the bus. The
bucket filler of the month is honored at our bucket filler assembly.
Very good. Okay, so that's kind of gives you a little hint of our Panther Pride leaders provide for us at our school. Again, peers, teaching other peers kind of the behaviors and certainly expectations, and it keeps everything in a very positive way. And they do such a great job. And again, you wouldn't know it by the small amount that we have here, but we have a large group of students that really do help with this service. And I really wanted to say thank you to Jill Holcomb, our counselor at our school, who sort of spearheads this group and really works with a lot of unique personalities and keeps them kind of in line and working towards our common goal. So thank you so much. And I know we were really running short on time, but I think I'd really like for them to share. At the end of every assembly, we do a little dance. Then they provide it for the entire school. Never gets old, believe it or not. It's the same song over and over again, but it's just fun to watch. So we'll have them do it if they don't mind. I know that we're really pushing the nerves here, but it'll be fun. They'll like it. It'll be fun for me anyway. Yep. Yeah, I don't know the dance actually, but here we go.
If what I am is what's in me, then I'll stay strong, that's who I'll be. And I will always be the best me that I can be. There's only one me, I admit. Have a dream, I'll follow it. It's up to me to try. Oh, I'ma keep my head up high. Keep on reaching high. Never gonna quit, I'll keep getting stronger. And nothing's gonna bring me down. Never gonna stop, gotta go. Because I know I'll keep getting stronger. And what I am is and what I am is musical. And what I am is smart. And what I am is and what I am is and what I am is special. There's nothing I can't achieve because in myself I believe in those. Gonna keep our heads up high. Keep on reaching high. Never gonna quit, just keep getting stronger. And nothing's gonna bring us down. Never giving up, gotta go. Because I know I'll keep getting stronger. What I am is what I am is what I am is what I am is what you are is what you are is. There's nothing I can't achieve because in myself I believe in you. Gonna hold my head up high. Keep on reaching high. I'm never gonna stop. I'll keep getting stronger. Nothing's gonna bring me down. Never give it up, gotta go. Yeah, I'll keep getting stronger.
Thank you so much, ladies. I really do appreciate it. And that's all we have for Westside.
Thank you so much. This is truly why we're up here. This is why we're on school board. It's just for you kids. Next time, teach us the dance, though, okay? That would be so fun. Thank you so much. That book was awesome. And your dance was, too. Thank you so much. I see the Anderson family is here, so now we have a special presentation from Angie Bauman, our Award for Excellence.
Thank you. I am here to present the Award for Excellence, which is an award that we give out 5 times a year, about every other month, to a staff member who has demonstrated an outstanding job in what they do every day. We've had a variety of staff members from all different levels receive this award, and this month, Chris Anderson, 4th grade teacher at Woodland Park, will be receiving the award, so I invite her up while I talk about her a little bit. I'll embarrass her a little bit. And Mr. Strong, if you would like to join us as well. So what happens is, we have a staff member that nominated Chris, and I received lots of great pieces of information about why she should receive this award, from teachers to support staff, parents, former students, maybe current students. I didn't know for sure who the students were, but I put together a few of the comments that they shared with me that I will share with you, and then Chris will get the longer list. It was a long list. It was pretty impressive. Some of the things that were said are, with 40 years of educational experience, I cannot think of anyone more deserving. She is a dedicated professional who has touched the lives of hundreds of students and families. She has always been dedicated and goes above and beyond to help every student be successful. She puts in many long hours every day in order to see children grow in their learning. This year, she even is running our before school program to help our kiddos who are behind due to COVID catch up. This one is from a former staff member. I worked with Chris Anderson in many aspects in my time at Norfolk Public Schools, first as a parent, then as a teacher, and finally as an instructional coach. Chris was my daughter's teacher in elementary school, and when she graduated from NHS, Chris attended her graduation party because she still had a connection with the student she had taught 8 years prior. My daughter had Chris, not mine, but I'm just reading the quote. My daughter had Chris as her 4th grade teacher 3 years ago. To this day, my daughter does not hesitate to sing the praises of Mrs. Anderson. And one more that comes from a student, maybe a former student. Chris is a great teacher. She was kind, caring, amazing, and most importantly, cool. I believe in her. She was an amazing teacher, and I hope that all the years to come are amazing for her. So there was more. I could stand up here a long time reading all of these great statements that came from everybody, and I know Mr. Strong wanted to say a few words.
Okay, congratulations, Chris. She's been teaching 40 years. I'm not even that old yet. Just kidding. All right. So we have a lot of phenomenal staff at Woodland Park, and educators, classified staff, just really good staff at Woodland Park. But I would say Chris is very worthy of this award, and I'm very thankful she got nominated. I just thought I'd take a few minutes as a principal to highlight some of the things that really stuck out to me. First of all, Chris is one of the teachers that she told me she's going to retire, and I was really bummed. I wasn't happy about that at all. I'm happy for her, but not happy that she's retiring because she's an exceptional staff member, and I've already told her she won't be replaced. We have hired an exceptional person to replace her, but they won't replace her. Here's just a few highlights of what Chris does well. First of all, year after year after year, she has exceptional academic scores. Her kids do well. She pushes her students as far as she can possibly get them, and they do well year after year in all subjects. Chris has an exceptional work ethic. Work ethic is becoming harder and harder to come by. There's no doubt that Chris is a hard worker. She's there early, one of the first ones at school every day, usually one of the last ones to leave. We joke all the time about how she didn't sleep at night because she's up all night worrying about kids or getting lesson plans ready or whatever she's doing. She's an exceptionally hard worker. One of the things I respect a lot about Chris is she says it like it is. As a principal, I appreciate that. I never have to worry about what she's thinking. If she has something on her mind, she just comes to me and talks to me about it. She doesn't talk behind me or around me. She talks to me. If she has an idea, she shares it with me. If she disagrees, she tells me. And when she's done telling me, she walks away and we're fine. And I greatly respect that from her. It's a character quality that's hard to find, so I appreciate that. She is passionate about citizenship, and I'll tell you, as principals, we always want to look good. We want our scores to be good, and when I first got out to Woodland Park Elementary, I was all about trying to look good and having good scores. I've learned with time that's great. We want to have good scores, but I'd say there's something that trumps that every time, and I would say that's citizenship, and I think Chris is passionate about developing good citizens. If you walk into her classroom, she is masterful at taking teachable moments and helping her kids develop character. It's amazing. One of the ways she does that is through what's called a community circle, and I wasn't familiar with that until I went down to the elementary level, and she does community circle exceptionally well. If she has an issue in her class, if a student's blurting out or whatever is going on, if there's an issue in her class, she brings the whole class together, she presents it to the class, they problem solve, they come up with a solution, and they implement it together as a class. It's the students doing it, not the teacher. She is masterful at that. even to the point where I would tell you as a principal on a regular basis, I go to Chris and say, Chris, I've got this kid in my office. I cannot figure out how to get him to tell the truth. Can you help me out? And she's always got a good idea, and it works. It's amazing. I go to her all the time for advice. I ask her, what should we do at PLC? What should we do at our staff meeting? What should I do with these students? How can I get these students to be more responsible and take ownership for their actions? And she has amazing ideas. You can tell she's been doing this, and she's very good at it. So very, very worthy of this award, Chris. Congratulations.
Thank you. I have a cheat sheet. This morning, I woke up early, as usual, and I've been trying to come up with a little thank you note, and it just wouldn't come to me. The words were all mumbled. I didn't know what to say. So I sat down by my husband's chair, and on the side of the chair was this scribbled note. I don't know that he left it for me, but it's a quote that says, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." And I thought, wow, that's it. I'm going to use that in my speech. So, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. With each challenge that we face in life, we're going to grow from it and learn from it. And I've tried to teach my students that, not in those particular words, but I always tell them the moment it gets hard or the time that it's hard is when your brain grows. So that's good. You want to get to those moments. Teaching, like life, has its ups and downs. You will make good decisions and you will make bad decisions. I've done both. You will encounter kindness and meanness. You will laugh and you will cry. You will fail, but you will succeed. Living life as a teacher is a job that I take very seriously. I want to thank my parents who set a strong foundation of family love and faith. My husband and my daughters who have had to put up with my passion for all my other kids. And my colleagues who have worked alongside me, and my students who inspire me daily. And especially for those who wrote such meaningful messages that sincerely warmed my heart. I truly appreciate your kindness. Because as educators, we don't often hear those words of affirmation very much, but it does feel good. So thank you. I am grateful.
Okay. That's okay. Okay, so along with Chris receiving her plaque, she is also receiving a $50 gift card that Hy-Vee donated that I'm sure her family could make some plans for dinner with. Possibly, it's in there. And then she will work with Mr. Strong because the building, Chris and Mr. Strong will work together. They have $500 to spend on something at the building level that will benefit the majority of the students in the building. So I'm sure the day I went to her classroom to notify her she was receiving the award, her students thought they could help her brainstorm. So I think they'll have lots of good ideas for her if they haven't already done that. So, and here's a clean copy of your nomination. So congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. And Chris, don't you have 2 fourth grade teachers? Oh, now, you've gone to 6. Yeah. Yes, what a wonderful teaching family. Thank you so much. Now, you can stay if you'd like, but you've seen the very best of the best so far. So, congratulations. You're welcome to stay, or you may quietly leave. Because we are to the public comments and communication. This is the time during the meeting when the public may request to address the board. If you wish to comment, we ask that you identify yourself, including your address, the name of the organization you represent, and the topic that you wish to address. Each individual's comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Please note that the board cannot discuss or act upon matters that are not listed on the agenda. Therefore, board members will not respond to your comments or questions. If you wish to request that an item be placed on a future board agenda, you may contact the superintendent or her assistant during normal business hours. Also note that concerns related to school personnel need to be addressed to the superintendent using the approved district protocol. If anybody would like to come to the podium, please do.
This was in your 5:30 meeting. You said you were hiring counselors for social emotional learning, SEL. Can you tell me how many?
I'm really sorry, but during the comments, it's just a time for you to get up and comment, and we can't engage in conversation and answer questions. But you could, after the meeting, contact. Just email me. Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to state your name?
No.
Okay.
No answer? No name.
Anyone else? Okay, we are to information and discussion item 7.1, Finance and Facilities Report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Madam President. The total amount of claims to be approved on the consent agenda for the month of March by specific fund are listed below. We also have, for the month of February, the activity fund claims. All these claims were reviewed earlier today in our Finance and Facility Committee. I'll entertain any questions at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. 7.2, Teaching and Learning Report. Mrs. Nelson.
Thank you, Madam President. The Teaching and Learning Department is completing all of the last-minute details for spring assessment season. This year's scores will be a part of the accountability classifications, which were put on pause for 2 years throughout the pandemic. The piloting of English language arts materials for 6th through 11th grade is nearly complete. We will be reporting our findings to the curriculum committee and seeking permission to purchase program probably during the next month. Plans for solidifying spring training on newly purchased programs for 5th through 7th grade social studies and kindergarten through 5th grade English language arts wonders program is just about complete. Details for summer school instruction is well underway, and the updated career and technical education standards have been released. Teachers will review them this spring and make a timeline for their upcoming curriculum work. Are there any questions?
What are the updated career and technical education standards?
Well, career and technical education includes predominantly 7 through 12. So family consumer science, I'm drawing a blank now. Our career and technical, okay, so it includes like our automotive, our construction, our ag, business, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Board of Education?
Right, the State Board of Education has designed and developed those, right. They're not much different than the last round, actually, so we're not going to probably see major changes in any of those. The only things that really impact are what we've talked about in the past, where the legislature has required us to do the personal finance class. So, yeah, those are the major changes. Yep.
And there's also a bill currently in the legislature that could require all schools to have a computer science requirement at the senior high, but we already have a computer science requirement, so I guess we're ahead of the game on that one.
Thank you, Mrs. Nelson. 7.3, Student Programs Report. Mrs. Lure.
Thank you, Madam President. We had CPR was held February 28th and March 1st for our staff in our buildings. We do it in the spring and in the fall. Elkhorn Logan Valley Public Health Department, we donated COVID tests to our district, which are available to our students and staff and families at no cost, but they are not required. We sent a note out last week about that. The staff Oh, the State English Language Proficiency Assessment, the ELPA, for our English language learners closes this Friday, March 18th, and we will receive the results early May. I will be attending the Spring NASAS Conference at the end of the month. Topics of the conference include MTSS, teacher shortages, and equity, diversity, and inclusion. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mary. 7.4, Student Services Report. Oops, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a reminder that kindergarten enrollment for the 22-23 school year is in full swing. Registration is being held at neighborhood schools. Parents must provide a birth certificate and a copy of immunization to begin the enrollment process. Kindergarten Roundup will be held Wednesday, April 20th at our neighborhood elementary school. We are encouraging families to start the registration process early to avoid complications. And then just update, parent-teacher conferences were held last month. We operated into a similar fashion to our first semester conferences. We offered in-person conferences with some virtual options as needed. Our attendance with our elementary and middle school is historically very high because those are scheduled meetings. Information about those conferences, though, is posted below. I'll answer any questions.
Is that 28%, is that really low for senior high, or is that pretty normal? 26%?
Historically,
I would say it's fairly typical. I mean, it might be more like 30 to 35%, but senior high does have low attendance at parent-teacher conferences, particularly in the spring.
It's better in the fall, just because we're new and we're there, but spring is... Wanted to do Zoom at the high school.
But don't you think some of the high school reflects upon the relationship that the teachers have with the students and the parents, that they're a little more involved, where, you know, at the elementary, don't you remember when your kids were in elementary, you wanted to go hear all those great things, and, you know, by high school, you're kind of, you know the great things, and you're just asking the tough questions, I feel like.
Infinite campus, you can track
Right.
their grades, and
Yes.
it's shouldn't be a lot of surprises, but could be. Still could be.
Yeah, should it be?
Shouldn't be, but
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. 7.5, Human Resources and Accreditation. Mrs. Bauman.
Thank you, Madam President. Letter of intents were sent out to all MPS staff on March 1st and are due back tomorrow, March 15th. At that time, we should know all positions that need to be filled. Quite a few teachers have been hired for the 2022-2023 school year, and we continue to advertise and search for the best teachers for Norfolk Public Schools. Also, on March 22nd and 23rd, we will host an external team for our accreditation review through Nebraska Framework. The team will consist of 8 external reviewers from 8 different districts and ESUs. The team will meet with a variety of administrators, staff, students, parents, and school board members. At the end of the 2-day visit, the team will present us with the great things they saw and heard throughout the district, along with suggestions for improving and moving forward. The board will receive a summary presentation at a future school board meeting. Any questions?
Thank you, Angie. 7.6, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I have 2 items tonight, starting with our monthly enrollment. If you look at the charts, you can see that our enrollment was 4,480 students at the beginning of the school year, and that number has fluctuated throughout the year, but it does show a positive trend line and an overall increase of 27 students since September. There have only been 2 months with a decrease in enrollment. One of those losses was only 2 students, and the other loss was at the very beginning of the school year, when our enrollment is really typically very volatile. We have kids coming in and out of the district. We are still down 65 students from before the pandemic, but I am starting to feel more confident that we are seeing a positive trend in enrollment once again. We have now regained 70 out of the 135 students, or 52% of the students that we lost at the beginning of the pandemic. The second item has to do with the election. We have 7 candidates that have filed for Norfolk Public Schools Board of Education. Those candidates include 2 incumbents, Jake Clausen and Leanne Woodhelm, as well as Terry Bauer, Cindy Booth, Randy D., Leonore Fuhrer, and Lindsay Rolander Dixon. Those candidates are listed in alphabetical order. Because there are more than 6 candidates, a primary election will be held May 10th, 2022. 1 candidate will be eliminated at that time, and 6 will move on to the general election, which will be held November 8th, 2022. Because we have 3 positions open, each voter will vote for 3 candidates. The top 3 vote getters will join our Board of Education in January of 2023. School board candidates are nonpartisan, and a more detailed calendar is available on the Madison County website. And I would just like to thank those candidates who are here today to learn more about our school board operations. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. We are to committee reports. 8.1, Facilities and Finance. Tammy Day.
Thank you. The Finance and Facilities Committee met today at 12 noon. Reviewed the claims for March and the activity claims for February. The NRD presented a check to Norfolk Public Schools to help with playground improvements at our district elementary buildings. These additional pieces of equipment were installed the past fall, so we did our photos and check exchange today. So that was a nice thing to have at our committee meeting. The grant of $25,000 really made those additions possible, so we thank NRD for their continued support of our school district. We also reviewed the following items at our meeting. Always have updates on the projects going on in our district. We reviewed the proposed compensation increases. It's that time of the year, so you'll see those later on the agenda for the various district employee groups. We had a review of the Bel Air Elementary School and Junior High facility bids. Again, those will appear further on the agenda, so we can take a look at those more closely. And then reviewed an RFP request for uniform and equipment vendor agreements. So you'll also see that on the agenda. A lot going on tonight. So it was a great meeting, and we will meet again on Monday, April 11th at noon.
Thank you, Tammy. 8.2, Policy Committee Report. Brenda Carhart.
Policy Committee met on February 25th to review policies 5417 to 5602 related to students. Minor substantive revisions have been recommended, largely due to correct formatting issues.
Thank you, Brenda. 8.3, Government Relations Committee. Jenna Hatfield.
The Government Relations Committee met on February 11th and 18th. The following bills were bills that we had, that we are currently in opposition to. Dr. Thompson sent a letter of opposition regarding LB 1211 and 1212 related to option enrollment and SPED funding. Dr. Robinson sent a letter of opposition regarding LB 1250 related to budget and tax levy notification timelines. And Board President Sandy Wolf testified in opposition to LR 278CA related to the dissolution of the state school board. So thank you, Sandy, for traveling down to Lincoln to testify on our behalf. Some bills that we were in support of were Dr. Thompson and Sandy Wolf sent letters of support for LB 1167 related to funding for our internships, including our teacher internship and residency program with Wayne State College. Hearings have been completed for the 2022 session, so our committee will now focus our attention on floor debate and send emails when deemed necessary. Any questions?
Thank you, Jenna. 8.4, Activities Committee Report. Tammy Day.
Yes, thank you. Activities Committee has been very busy this month, which you will see on the agenda later. February 21st, Mr. Irwin and I cannot say that, Veronic? I did it. Provided the committee with an update on winter activities. A few of the highlights include girls wrestling, state runner-ups and district champions, boys wrestling, 7th place at state, district runner-ups, boys swimming and diving, 7th place at state and conference, girls swimming and diving, 17th place at state, 4th at conference. Speech, district runner-up. One Act, fourth at state, runner-up at districts. Pink Panthers, third at state. Boys basketball, third at districts. Girls basketball, sixth at districts. So lots of great stuff happening in our districts for student activities. Mr. Irwin shared a coaching proposal for cross country. This proposal would eliminate one assistant at the senior high and add a head and assistant coach at the junior high. After discussion, the committee advanced this proposal, which you will see later today. The junior high growth in the cross-country program, largely due to Mr. Mueller and his efforts, have been outstanding, so it's time to just make some adjustments in the coaching there. Mr. Irwin shared girls wrestling proposal, which would add this as an official permanent sport and add an assistant wrestling coach. So if you remember last year, we were in pilot mode. So the proposal you'll see later tonight for a vote. It has been a success, so we're recommending that. Mr. Irwin also shared a proposal regarding an exclusivity agreement for name brand uniforms. The committee discussed this, but determined additional information was needed. So we had a follow-up meeting on the 28th, and you will see that information coming up later on the agenda as well. We went over the breakdown of expenses, pros and cons, so we can fill you in more on that if needed. But I think the rationale on the agenda explains the reason to seek information on that. So yeah, I could try to answer any questions, but I see Mr. Irwin's here, so I would defer to him.
Great job, no questions. 8.5, Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Report. Brenda Carhart.
Norfolk Public Schools Foundation Board met on February 21st at 4:30. 13 board members and 2 guests were present. Board President Jake Clausen called the meeting to order and welcomed the 2 new board members in his opening remarks. During the Executive Director's Report, Kellen Collins shared with the board that the traditional scholarship application for the class of 2022 is now open and students are currently applying. There are 64 scholarships available, or totaling over $75,000. She's been actively promoting the scholarships through social media, website, and signage, and via the NHS counseling office. And she reminded the board that the deadline for the scholarship application submission is on 3/16/22 at 4 p.m. And then it doesn't say here, but we also went into small breakout sessions to talk about our strategic plan. We did our strategic plan during COVID, and we had to do a lot of it virtual. It's a good plan, but out of sight, out of mind. So Kellen just wanted to bring it back in front of us and said, hey, guys, let's not forget about this. What can we do to make it happen? What ideas? So we broke out, and then we shared with the group as to each one of our goals and how we thought we could accomplish the goal. And then we all had homework to do when we left. So that's where we're at, too. Yeah. She's got us working.
Brenda, do you remember who the 2 new board members are?
Leona Fior she's one, and
Lisa Jones,
which
I only know because she works at Dacos.
Yes, and yes, she was there.
Right. So are you full now, or do you still have vacancies?
We're full. We're not at our max that we can have, but we've replaced the people that went off, and so we're comfortable with what we have.
Very nice. Thank you. 8.6 is minutes of committee meetings, and the minutes of the March 1st nurses and student health meetings are attached for you to look at, or have already looked at, I'm hoping. Consent agenda items. 9.1 is minutes of the previous meetings from February 14th and February 24th, 2022 are attached. We are to 9.2 personnel, and starting with contract approval, Dr. Thompson.
Yes, we have several contracts for your consideration this evening. Melissa Betton, Early Childhood Classroom Teacher for Little Panthers Preschool. Emily Korth, Language Arts Teacher at Norfolk Senior High. Diamond Moraga, Early Childhood Special Education Teacher at Little Panthers Preschool. Reagan Raymakers, Kindergarten Teacher at Grant Elementary. Carrie Severson, 6th grade teacher at Norfolk Middle School. Alyssa Smith, Special Education, Emotional Disturbance Behavior Skills Program teacher at Norfolk Middle School. Beth Werner, School Counselor at Jefferson Elementary. and Ashley, Wojciechowski, special education teacher at Norfolk Middle School.
Is that right, Angie?
I've referred to her as Ashley W., so I'm not sure.
You have been busy. 9.2 is resignations.
Unfortunately, we do have some more resignations. We have Taryn Retzloff, as you referred to earlier this evening. She was our theater, yearbook, and English teacher at Norfolk High School, and she is going to the NSAA as a director. Karen Drahota, fourth grade teacher at Jefferson Elementary, who is retiring. Tatiana Moore, history teacher, debate coach, and student council sponsor at Norfolk High School, who is going to attend graduate school full-time. Mackenzie Lamp, half-time substitute teacher, half-time art teacher at Norfolk High School. She has accepted another position at a different district. And Rhonda Sponell, Title I teacher at Washington Elementary, who is also retiring.
It's always tough to see all those retirements, but as you can tell from Chris Anderson, who's just retired, I mean, they are amazing, amazing.
Tomorrow is the last day that staff can resign and have it be automatically accepted without an extenuating circumstance. So hopefully that number will drastically reduce or end after tomorrow.
And 9.3 claims, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. Attached are the claims for the month of March. These claims were reviewed earlier today by our Finance and Facility Committee. There is a conflict statement for this month that will need to be read before voting.
I'll make it a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second that motion.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Brenda. Is there any discussion?
Out of abundance of caution, I hereby declare a potential conflict of interest and am abstaining from voting on Claim 825 for the month of March in the consent agenda for this meeting. I have signed and filed this written disclosure with the Secretary of the Board. It is my intent to vote on all other remaining items listed on the consent agenda. My vote on the remainder of the consent items should not be taken as a vote one way or the other on the items which I have identified or any of the matters set forth therein or related to thereto. Okay. To get this right one of these times.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. That brings us to 10 action items. 10.1, discuss, consider, and take action to approve girls wrestling as an official activity. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. Norfolk Public Schools piloted girls wrestling during this school year. The program was extremely successful. We had 11 girls participate, and we anticipate even more in the future. 2 girls placed second at state, and the team placed second at state as well after winning our district. So they had a very successful inaugural season. We are recommending that the board add girls wrestling as an official activity starting with the 2022-2023 school year. We are also recommending that the board add an assistant coach for the wrestling program. That will be discussed further in the next agenda item. And we do have Mr. Irwin, Activities Director, here if there are any questions about this item or the next several related to activities.
I'll make a motion to approve girls wrestling as an official activity.
Second that.
I have a motion by Tammy and a second by Leanne. Is there any discussion?
No, I just wanted to say that the first year we had just volunteers help us. So we think that means we're going to make it a sport that stays on. We need to make it more formal and hire someone and pay them and bring it up to the next level. Not the volunteers are very good. You just can't expect them to volunteer forever. So that's what we did the first year versus now.
I think it's great to add an additional opportunity for girls to have a more robust program of their own. The pilot phase was obviously successful, so I'm excited to see this become a permanent part of our student activities.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.2 is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the hiring of assistant coach for our girls wrestling program. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. As I mentioned previously, our pilot or inaugural season for girls wrestling was very successful, and we anticipate participation in the sport to grow in the future. During our inaugural season, parent volunteers helped run the girls wrestling program, as Brenda mentioned. However, because it's an official sport, we are recommending that we hire an assistant for that purpose. Justin Gray would serve as head wrestling coach for both boys and girls. Tony Brown, Kodiak French, and Jeremy Eusterweeman will continue as the boys' assistant coaches. Oh goodness, and Jeremy E., along with the new assistant, will be girls' assistant coaches. We believe that this is necessary in order to adequately and equitably serve our boys and girls wrestling program. And the cost for that addition would only be $4,537.
I did need clarification on that, why we just have a single head coach, but we do this in other sports as well, where we have a head coach that does both girls and boys, and then they have their assistants. So this isn't an anomaly or the only sport that we're doing it in. There are already others, just for clarification.
I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of an assistant coach for our girls wrestling program.
I second that.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Jenna. Is there any further discussion?
I think at first glance it could appear that we're making these decisions very quickly this evening, but this has been a decision-making process that has been over a year, if not more, in the process with the piloting of the program first, and a lot of the more in-detailed and in-depth discussion regarding cost and budgeting happens within our facilities committee work. So for anyone that might be joining us here this evening or even watching online this evening, these decisions end up becoming very efficiently made at our general meetings after all the work is put in at the committee level, and all the research is often done and put in by our activities director, and then that supporting information gets presented at the committee level. So we take these decisions very seriously, even though $4,537 isn't a lot compared to other aspects of our budget. It still is money that we need to make sure is being well spent and put towards a good use. But I do agree. I think that the due diligence has been done to support adding this program and adding this position. And I think it even shows in some of the female wrestlers that continue on and do club wrestling then even after the wrestling season is over, that there is an interest in it, and there are some athletes that are very devoted to that as a sport.
And yes, just a little plug for the candidates. There's a lot of committee work that happens not here, that happens during the month, and everyone is put on committees, and there's a lot of work so that when we get to this point, we're clear, just as Jenna had said.
So I'm make sure I understand the cost of addition, the $4,500, that's just labor for that's just what the assistant would make?
That is for the cost of the assistant coach.
Just assistant coach, that's just
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are to 10.3, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the addition of junior high cross-country coaches. I'm guessing that's Dr. Thompson.
Yes, thank you. This is a topic that we have talked about for a number of years with several different activities directors over the years, but we are now recommending that we add one paid head junior high cross-country coach and one paid assistant junior high cross-country coach for the 22-23 school year. At the present time, we have a head boys, assistant boys, head girls, and assistant girls coach at the senior high, but we do not have any coaches at the junior high. We have actually utilized one of the senior high assistants, Mr. Bueller, for the junior high program. The number of the participants at the junior high level has grown from 11 in 2007 to around 40 each year. In order to best utilize our coaches and to provide the best supervision of our athletes, we believe that it would be best to eliminate one of the paid senior high assistants and add 2 junior high coaches, 1 head and 1 assistants. The end result would be senior high, 1 head boys coach, 1 head girls coach, 1 assistant coach. Junior high, 1 head coach and 1 assistant coach. And when you make all those changes together, the total cost to the district would be $2,269.
I make a motion to approve the addition of a junior high cross-country coaches.
I second that motion.
Have a motion by Leanne and a second by Jenna. Is there any other discussion?
Is it the senior high, are they gonna miss that one assistant coach?
I think in effect, he's already been taken away for the last several years in that was Mr. Mueller, and Mr. Mueller was really working with the junior high kids and not so much at the senior high. So it will more accurately reflect what we're doing there and then add that assistant for Mr. Mueller as well. They're nodding their heads, so I think that's correct.
I think this is a great thing, just like the wrestling program. It allows more kids opportunities and like you said, more solidified support for those students. So it's a wonderful thing to see happen.
I think in this case, too, it plays a factor in the safety of our students as well. If we've got 40 student athletes and only 1 coach, I can imagine that that's hard to to keep track, especially with something like cross country where they're maybe running at Skyview or doing some, some street jogging, and so to have an additional adult just to help supervise 40 junior hires, I imagine that will prolong the life of Mr. Mueller as well, so he's not having to take that responsibility on his own all the time.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are to 10.4, discuss, consider, and take action to grant permission to seek RFPs for exclusive uniform agreements. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is recommended that the board approve the RFP for equipment and athletic uniform purchasing. The agreement would provide the district with better pricing for brand name athletic uniforms and potential future cost savings for equipment and other items. Moving to brand name uniforms will allow the district greater design and color options, as well as length of time a specific color or design is produced. Overall uniform fit and quality are also factors in this purchasing change. Attached is the RFP document that will be released if approved. I'd also like to point out the RFP is very specific that local businesses are not excluded if we sign an exclusivity with a company that sells Nike or Adidas. So our local businesses are not excluded. They can still do business, and we'll get permission from our AD to go ahead and pursue shirts and those kinds of things. Over the years, things have changed with uniforms. I think we've vetted this out and we're ready to move this direction. The exclusivity is a substantial cost saving when you're looking at this, and so that's why that's being brought forward.
Do other Class A schools, are they going this route?
Now, I can't say that maybe they're in exclusivity or not. I don't know that, but I would say the vast majority are into brand name uniforms across all their activities.
I'll make a motion to grant permission to seek RFPs for exclusive uniform agreements.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Leanne. Is there further discussion? It just, as Dr. Robinson said, it is important to know that we still can purchase locally, but this gives us the ability to get a better cost by choosing an exclusive company.
And I was also told that by going exclusive, then we'd have a better chance of getting the uniforms on a timely basis. I know right now, we've been waiting for softball uniforms for months. And, just with supply chain issues, we'd have a little bit more pull to get things when we needed, get better quality, maybe the maroons would match better. Just, maroon's a tough color. So it offers a lot of a lot of advantages by going exclusive so that we have a little bit more pull to get what we want when we want it.
That's a good point. You get in the track season and you need a special pole vault pole. We have many you have to choose from. Well, sometimes you don't have 2 months. You need it by the next day or the next week. And so the chances of doing that are greater in an agreement capacity like this.
And the board would still have the option not to accept one of these proposals if the cost does not come in the way we anticipate that it will, so.
And that might answer my question or concern was, has there been any research yet in whether or not a single provider, vendor can give us all the uniforms we need for every sport? More as in like at one point in time in my athletic career, I played college volleyball, and there was like Nike wasn't really, like a brand that had a lot of great like volleyball stuff, and a lot of things have changed too with companies, but just something to keep in mind, or maybe we've already looked into it, is just making sure that all of our athletic programs can all get essentially what they need, even if we stick with one specific vendor.
Okay. It's on. So we did discuss that, and for instance, Nike doesn't really make a swimming and a wrestling is kind of their two that they don't do. What would be required to do is to purchase just varsity uniforms, but since they don't have those specific ones that they deal in, you would be able to go outside to another company and get those. But I believe those were the only two, I think, that Nike said, and so yeah, we would have the option if that's not really what they do, to go out and get it from somebody else.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad that was already discussed and looked into, and yeah, that was my exact question. And I forget too that, maybe warm-ups could be purchased or whatever, the outer jackets, but then maybe those very specific items could be outside that vendor. Thanks.
And the nice part about this is just the proposals we're seeking. So we'll have a chance to vet the different proposals that come back and then make an additional next step decision. But it has been, as you alluded to, a lot of work outside of this meeting has happened for many months and probably longer, just around how do you get the best access to the things you need at the best cost with the longest lifespan for our students. So I think it's a great avenue for us to take this next step in.
It only applies to high school. This doesn't apply to junior high.
I think we can vote. Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.5, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the sale of outdated teacher laptops. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam President. We have officially received our new laptops and are beginning the process of exchanging them for current outdated laptops. These are teacher devices. I am requesting permission to sell the outdated laptops back to the teachers they were checked out to. Any laptops that are not purchased or sold to the teachers would then be placed on our 2022 technology sale. Answer any questions?
Charge the teachers for their laptop.
They're $100. Depending on the quality of them, if they want them, it's $100, and then at the tech sale, we'll grade them down. So if they're not in great condition, had a lot of coffee spilled on it, something like that, the price goes down.
What is the age of most of these laptops?
I think we're at 6 years, Beth, a long time ago when we bought these.
Well, there's no warranty left or anything on them.
No, there's no warranty, nothing. And we actually did the RFP process back in August, and finally are getting to the process where we can check these out now, so.
So these, if teachers chose to purchase their old one, it would just be for their personal use that they would be purchasing it then for?
Correct. Good question. They can personal use. They can't bring it back into the district, and everything is wiped off of it, reset back to factory.
Yeah, personal experience. When I retired, I bought mine for $100, and they also let me buy a battery for $50. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the sale of outdated teacher laptops.
I'll
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Brenda. Is there any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.6, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for hourly classified staff. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is recommended that a 3.5% compensation increase is approved for all of our hourly staff for 22-23. This is the same percent increase that was approved for our non-supervisory certificated staff.
I move to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for hourly classified staff.
I second that motion.
Motion by Leanne and a second by Jenna. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.7, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for salaried classified staff. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is also recommended that a 3.5% total package increase be approved for all salaried classified staff for 22-23. This is the same percent that was approved for our non-supervisory certificated staff.
I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for salaried classified staff.
I'll second. Motion by Jenna and a second by Tammy. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to thank Bill for putting together the presentation that he sent out. I think it was about the time we walked out of last month's meeting. There was already an email with new information for us to read to prepare us for tonight's meeting and this vote. But I appreciate you getting to that so far in advance. So we had a lot of time to read through it and contact you with any questions or concerns regarding those increases. So thank you for putting that together.
Did I say please vote? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are to 10.8. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for nurses.
Thank you. It is recommended that a 3.5% total package increase is approved for all of our district nurses for 22-23. Once again, this is using that same percent that was approved for our non-supervisory certificated staff. And when I reference total package, this is the total cost of everybody, taxes, retirement, benefits. It's the whole package, and that's how we negotiate our teachers.
I'll make a motion to approve the 22-23 compensation increase for nurses.
Second that.
Motion by Tammy and a second by Leanne. Is there any discussion?
Question, why are nurses separated like this? Why are they not in with other groups?
Because they do require certification for their employment, but it's not a teaching license. It's its own unique license. And they are not part of the Teachers Association for negotiation, so they're their own employee group. But nurses are a professional group, so that's why we have a separate pay scale and so forth, similar that you see teachers on with steps and so forth. So, good question. They're a professional group, but they're a professional group in a different capacity within our district.
They're not part of the union?
No, they are not. At one point they were, but that's a choice as a group if they would like to be. Leanne was a part of that over the years, and they just made a decision not to be anymore.
Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Mary. 10.9. Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the compensation increase for substitute teachers. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is recommended that we increase the base by 3.5% for district substitute teachers for 22-23. Once again, we're using that same percent that we're using for all of our employee groups. We want to keep our substitute pay competitive as well.
I make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for substitute teachers.
Second that.
Motion by Jenna and a second by Leanne. Again, is there any discussion?
And again, you said that hopefully this will keep us competitive and feel that this is a,
I do today. We'll see what 4 months bring.
I do think having this as part of our annual conversation about compensation is important because then you don't risk falling behind given, you know, the odd year we're in. Okay, that's a separate issue, but I think, you know, generally we should stay in good stead with compensation.
2 years ago, we made the concerted effort, let's get a good base, but then let's have a system, whatever we do for the teaching staff, we do with the substitute base, because that was a concern that was saying you're not doing the same thing, but yet they're both teaching in different capacities. So we've done that the last 2 years. I felt it has worked effectively. Like I said, we'll see with inflation and wages, that hopefully we'll still be competitive.
And I think if anything was apparent when I did my school visit this month was it really takes a village. And so it's equally as important to make sure that we're supporting and paying well all our support staff. Even in the lunchroom, as you see, I mean, there's the librarian is in there, the paras are in there, the teachers are in there, the principal is in there. No one is exempt from helping in aspects of the school. And so it really does take them all to make each school function as well as it can.
Thank you, Jenna. Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.10, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for district administrators. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is also recommended that we applied the 3.5% total package increase for all of our district administrators, PK-12. This, once again, is that same percentage we have used with all of our employee groups.
I would make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase for administrators.
That motion.
We have a motion by Jenna and a second by Brenda. Would anybody like to comment? Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. This seems like a lot, I know, but we have spent a lot of time on this.
It feels like Groundhog Day, doesn't it?
I know. It's
Who
like,
is this
which
one?
one am I on? 10.11, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase and contract for our superintendent, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. It is recommended that a 3.5% total package increase be approved for the superintendent for 22-23. Once again, same percent that we are using with all of our other employee groups.
I move to approve the 2022-2023 compensation increase and contract for the superintendent.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Leanne and a second by Tammy. Is there any discussion?
I guess I would just like to speak on behalf of Brenda. Going forward, because when you've been applying for other jobs, it's been so public, and I feel sometimes there's a distrust between the community and the school as to, you know, you be in here, stay in here, and applying all other places. I would just recommend that you get out in the public more and tell your story about what you want to do with Norfolk Public Schools. The night that the Lincoln superintendent was announced, you sent the board a really good email about, you know, that's over, we're going to concentrate on Norfolk Public, we're going to do this, this, and this. And I just think the community needs to hear that too, because it was a good email, you had a plan, you're going to, you know, you're going to be fully engaged in Norfolk Public Schools, and I want the community to know that too, so that they all believe, because at the end of the day, we're all a team, and we want to concentrate on making Norfolk better, and to know that everybody's engaged is important to the community and important to all of us too, so my 2 cents.
And I appreciate what you said, Brenda, but as school board president, I will be honest and say there was never a glitch as Dr. Thompson was applying. It was very public. Everybody knew about it, but that's how you further yourself in this position. But there was never anything missing. We never missed a meeting. There was no communication. She took vacation days, which I don't know if that's how you want to spend them, but that's how she spent them. But I just think it's important to know that I never felt there was anything missing. But I do agree that public perception is, completely different than what we see because we're working with Dr. Thompson day in, day out.
With us, so we got knowledge than what you just read in the paper.
And I also think we need to keep in mind that those positions of that magnitude to be a finalist shows the quality of superintendent we have in our district to be considered for that. So I think that's something that needs to be kept in mind as well.
I think one of the questions I got asked frequently is this, normal for someone to, apply for another position? And I think after, doing some of my own research and asking questions that, yes, it is normal. In some cases, that's how we've gotten even some of our best qualified principals at our schools is they, keep an eye out for those openings, and when there is something that fits with their philosophy and their passion and maybe, where they're from or their family, their support system, that it's not uncommon for someone to, look for that next opportunity. But I also think that says something about that where you're at in your career. It could be very easy to just be complacent and say, I'm good, I'm comfortable here, but to continue to push yourself on to something bigger, while it would be disappointing for us to lose you because you have done such a great job, I think it also shows just that you do have that drive and passion to continue to further yourself, because you could very easily say, I just want to kind of cruise to the end of my career here. So I appreciate that as well.
And to go along with Jenna, I taught in Humphrey for 18 years, and I thought I was going to be there forever, but an opportunity came up in Norfolk that it was a great position, and I could better myself as an instructor and try different things. And so after 18 years, I got the job up here. So, in all of our professions, we look at opportunities to move up or try things that are different.
I appreciate the feedback, and I was not planning to speak, but I do appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to apply for those two positions. They were closer to my family. My parents are not doing that well. Sorry. And I have a little grandbaby that I wanted to get closer to. But my husband and I have decided we were going to stay here for the next 6 years, and we'll decide after that, when I hit my retirement age, where we go from there, if we stay here longer or move closer to home. But as Brenda alluded to, I immediately came back with, we're going to wrap up our strategic plan here in the spring, start a new one in the fall. We have lots of great things going on with MTSS and PBIS that we talked about earlier, and I'm really just excited to move forward with a lot of positive things. Shared some things in Colt the other day with changing up our principal evaluation process and our building school improvement
Colt
processes. Colt is our central office leadership team, so the directors and Bill and I. So lots of great ideas that I was kind of waiting to see if I was going to be here for a while before I implemented those, because you don't want to put that in place and have someone else maybe. I am excited about staying. Sorry, I got emotional with my parents there, but family pulls at you sometimes.
It's unfortunate it costs so much to fill up your car now. You'll have to drive extra miles. But as Jenna said, we would have been disappointed. And that's really because Norfolk Public Schools is lucky to have such strong leadership at all levels. But I think that starts with Dr. Thompson and her influence. So while I am sad for you, I am happy for us for the time being, and hope that we can work hard to support all the great things that are happening in the district and work with your teams. So thanks to all the employee groups for everything they do. I know this was a long, repetitive series of motions, but it's really important that we take care of the people who take care of our students and families. So thank you for your patience.
And we will not let you coast for the next 6 years, so.
I don't know how to coast.
Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.12, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the bid from Ott Construction for the junior high addition and remodel. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. Talking about some more money here, aren't we? So, but this is good stuff. We received the following bids for the junior high addition and renovation. If you're not familiar with that, this is addressing some much needed locker room space issues and restrooms in that building. A lot of those restrooms in the original building are pretty original from the 20s and 30s and haven't changed, and it's time to address that. So those were the two bids we received. Very close in bid. Both have worked for us in the past, so I have no problem with recommending that bid from Audi Construction. They're currently handling the Lincoln project for us.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Audi Construction for the junior high addition and remodel.
I second that motion.
We have a motion by Tammy and a second by Jenna. Is there any discussion?
Just tell you guys, he told us in Finance and Facilities today that it's an expensive bid because a lot of it's plumbing, a lot of it's bathrooms, it's an old building. It's just, he explained it, it's a lot of labor, and that's why it was so expensive. It doesn't look, you won't see a great big addition, but a lot of labor inside redoing bathrooms.
And these are why we are conservative with our dollars, and we save, and we're prepared to make these needed upgrades. So I think while, you know, it seems like a large investment, it's a very much needed investment. We've been very fiscally responsible getting to this point to do it.
This also includes a new parking lot for the staff that's much needed across the street on the west side. Replacement of a lot of pavement on the north side of the building too. So there's other things. The stucco on the 70s addition will be repaired and repainted as well.
Comes out of our building fund, money that we have saved up.
Building, depreciation, general fund, and a little ESSERS.
Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.13 is discuss, consider, and take action to approve the core bid from Huff Construction for the Bel Air addition and remodel. Dr. Robinson.
Once again, excited to bring, we had extremely competitive pricing for the Bel Air edition. A lot better than we actually anticipated, so excited for that, with Huff being the low bid. Some differences there. We have a straightforward addition, not a lot of renovation in the existing building. It's got a pretty flat elevation there, and it's a job a lot of the construction companies would like as it fills their book. It's perfect timing, kind of in and out, not a lot of the labor concerns like junior high. We have not worked with Huff before, so they have been vetted out. They've done a lot of K-12 work up in Aberdeen, South Dakota. That's their home office. They're getting a presence here in the Norfolk area. My understanding is they did some work up at Lutheran High, Lee School District, so they're getting a presence, and their construction manager is here locally that they've hired for this position. So I feel good about that and look forward to working with Huff if approved.
I would make a motion to approve the core bid from Huff Construction for the Bel Air addition and remodel.
Second that?
We have a motion by Jenna and a second by Leanne. Is there any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.14, discuss, consider, and take action to approve or reject the alternate bid for additional classrooms at Bel Air Elementary. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. The alternate bid for an additional 5 classrooms, this would create the 4th track at Bel Air, from Huff came in at $1.8 million. That is very competitive pre-pandemic pricing. So it gives you a moment to pause. Okay, do we really need to look at that? Dr. Thompson and I sat down, really looked at enrollment trends, where they were pre-pandemic, where they're going now, that's effect on that building. We just really didn't see how we could justify, even with this pricing, bringing that forward, where potentially you could have that whole wing possibly be empty for 5, 6, even 7 years. I just don't know if that is what is right when we have other things we could put in front of it, even with as competitive as that pricing is. So it's brought forward. It is our recommendation that we do not accept that alternate, and we reject it. but it is in front of the board and want to be transparent about how the pricing came in.
I just want to add, enrollment projections and history show that our peak at Bel Air enrollment was in fall of 2018. So that was actually even a year before the pandemic. When we started adding additional classrooms at Lincoln Montessori, that pulled some kids away from Bel Air and evened out that enrollment. So even going out as far as the fall of 2026, our enrollment does not get back up to that point where it was in the fall of 2018. So although we are full right now and we don't have any additional space whatsoever, we're using really cute closets for office spaces. We can't really justify the additional track or classrooms because I can't tell you for sure that we're going to need those at some point. It doesn't mean we won't come back in another 3 or 4 or 5 years or whenever that time comes saying we need it now, but I can't build it and not necessarily feel it. That's my 2 cents.
I did bring to Dr. Thompson, I do know that there's a large development that's going out that would be in the Bel Air district. It's 100 acres. They're doing 100 plus houses. They're gonna do 10 to 12 houses a year, but we don't know if those kiddos will go to parochial perhaps, or are those kids already in our Bel Air district moving up? I mean, our crystal ball just doesn't work, but we do need to keep our options open down the road because 100 houses is quite a bit, but their projections are just 10 to 12 a year. So, I mean, that's a consideration, and I do know that that's where there's a lot of movement is out that way. So I just think we need to beware, but I agree. I mean, is it worth giving $1.8 million and having classrooms sit empty when perhaps that money could be better used somewhere else?
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on it. Well, first of all, how did we get we must have asked them for this 1.8 then. I mean, we must have asked them to bid this.
It's typical when we have a building plan where we want future that we have the architect draw it. And then when we go to bid the big part of the addition, we say, if we were to do this, what would be the alternate? So then we have a base price to work off of in future. Like at the preschool, we got an alternate for additional rooms. We weren't planning on doing it, but we know back in 2019, what was that cost? So that's how this started. Never have we received an alternate that got our attention like this.
What bothers me is it is so cheap that if we would do this and if we say we need it in 2-3 years, it'd probably be 3 times this.
Could be.
You know, I'm thinking, well, then we should, but yeah, I don't know. But then to let it spend 1.8 to let it sit empty, but yet, is there things we really could do with those rooms? Could they become speech rooms? Could they become conference rooms in the meantime? Could we find us? I mean, everybody always needs more room.
It's hard to get people out once they're in there for another reason.
Hard to keep people.
I could fill those rooms, yeah.
I think based on just the way we've always approached doing business in a more conservative manner, and knowing that there are other things we would like to address, I appreciate the recommendation to reject, even though it caused you to pause. If it causes Bill Robinson to pause, I think you really have to pay attention to that. But I think, hopefully, because we are, strong in our fiscal practices, in 2 to 3 years, we can take a look at it and feel good about making that investment down the road. But at this point, I would make a motion to reject the alternate bid for classrooms, for the additional classrooms at Bel Air Elementary, just based on the things that we've heard, so.
Can I say one more thing too? I think it's also important to keep in mind that we also want to do an addition at the middle school to address the safety issue. It's taken us years to save up this $9 million so we can do these 2 projects, and we're not sure how much that middle school project is going to take. So this $1.8 million could very well be the difference between having enough money to do the middle school project or not having enough money to do it.
School project is mostly just safe and secure.
Yes, we would be adding a new safe and secure entrance and offices space, which then would open up some classroom space where the current offices are. They're kind of in the middle of the building and not right by the entrance.
Since your motion was hijacked, Tammy.
I was gonna say, I'll go ahead and I can second the motion.
Okay. Like, what?
Sometimes we get ahead of ourselves in the discussing, but that's okay. It's good discussion.
Okay. Did you ask Mrs. Andreessen what she thought, or does she get a voice or opinion in this?
I told her what it was and what my recommendation was, and she said she completely understood. There would be no use for it in the near future. And yes, she probably would try to fill it up with other things.
I think too, if this housing project had already, if ground was broken already and houses were
Oh,
already
no,
starting.
ground is broken.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, ground is
Really?
broken, yes. You haven't seen those basements, Doug? Oh, my goodness, yes. There's,
What part of town?
it's right past Berry Hill. It's 100 acres right there with 100 houses.
Okay, that makes sense. But I still think, like you said, if they're, projecting 10 to 12 houses a year, we don't know if each of these households would even have school-age children in them. And if we can't fill it for 5 more years per se, we don't even know what classroom structure might look like in 5 years. We don't know, maybe we'd be building something that needs to be redone to fit what in 5 years our classroom model looks like, or what new health safety standards look like. So it'd be disheartening to spend, it could be money well spent and efficiently spent to build it, and then find out that we needed to redo it a different way a handful of years down the road.
Well, and I think it would be disappointing to not go forward with the middle school because that is pressing. We definitely need to secure that building. Anybody that's been there, you know how far you walk to the office from the front door. It's quite a ways. Wilson would probably agree with.
I didn't put it on the safety and security slide, but it's something that's every year we get talked about.
Was it in
Needs
the
to be
ugly?
fixed.
Was it in the ugly?
It should have been an ugly, you're right, yes.
Fairness, it is a safe and secure building. It's just, it's not to the gold standard we would like it to be. As you said, things change, and over time there are better ways to do things. And so I feel like, I think you're right with that on the docket. It's hard to, you'd hate to be $1.8 million short and then be like, oh, dang.
So we have a motion by Tammy and a second by Jenna. We've had quite a bit of discussion. Anything more before we vote?
You guys have convinced me that it's probably not the, both ways back and forth. You guys have good points, and
Well, and you have a lot of knowledge being in the building business to know, that those prices will go up dramatically. Okay, please vote.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. We are on 10.15. Does this seem like a long night? Discuss, consider, and take action to approve the first reading of Board Policies 5417 through 5602. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. As stated, Policy Committee has reviewed these policies, recommended that their first reading is approved this evening with minor, non-substantive revisions.
I would make a motion to approve the first reading of board policies 5417 through 5602 related to students.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Jenna and a second by Tammy. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. 10.16, discuss, consider, and take action to approve the Little Panthers preschool 2022-2023 calendar. Dr. Thompson.
Thank you. I am recommending that school calendar for 2022 additional days.
Make a motion to approve the Little Panthers calendar for 22-23.
I second that motion.
I have a motion by Tammy and a second by Jenna. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mary. Well, this brings us to future meetings. The second meeting of the Board of Education has tentatively been scheduled for noon on Thursday, March 24th. Is that looking like we will meet contracts?
Well, yeah, probably.
Probably. Keep that. We're hoping for lots of contracts, so please keep that date open. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Monday, April 11th, 2022. The study session will begin at 5:30 p.m. The regular business meeting will start right here at 6:30 p.m. All components of these meetings will be held at the Norfolk Public Schools Central Administration offices and will be open to the public unless an executive session is needed in order to protect the interest of the district or the reputation of an individual. With that being said, we will need to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation and real estate negotiations as needed to protect the interest of the district and to prevent needless injury to the reputation of an individual.
Make a motion. I would make the motion to enter executive session to discuss potential litigation and real estate negotiations as needed to protect the interest of the district and to prevent needless injury to the reputation of an individual.
Second that.
A motion by Jenna and a second by Leanne. Please vote.
Motion carried, 5-0.
Thank you, Mary.
I anticipate that executive session will be fairly lengthy this evening as we have two important items to discuss, but it is likely that we will have action when we come out of executive session on at least one of the items. So it is up to you whether you stick around or not.